welcome to a brand new show called the Arena Sports Show. Woo!
Malo.
Yeah.
Malo.
Wow. My energy is like here, and you guys are just like keeping it very low. I don't like it.
You know
Listen, I know why though.
Yeah?
Because you guys had like a heavy December, eating a lot. You've gained a couple of few kgs.
What?
So that's why you're feeling a bit flat.
I think this is a HR matter, body shaming.
Yeah, no, so that's sure. You know, and it's on
Body
tape. We got it on
shaming.
tape. It's an easy case to win.
You guys are terrible. Well, as you can tell, I'm not alone. I'm joined by two legendary gentlemen in the game. They've been around for so long. And you know, one thing that I love about, you know, the game that we're in, right? And the world of sports, mainly football, is that you always have to have a nickname. And when you don't have a nickname, it kind of, you know, it puts you somewhere there. You're like, and you want to be like the top player that has a nickname, right? I do have one, right? I'm Legs of Thunder Junior. That's been passed on, you know, by the Legs of Thunder Senior. That's being Jairus Kasana. So full name is Clauiee Grace Mpanza on paper, but feel free to call me Legs. And then I've got the two gents with me. I know my favorite influencer, Mahlatse Mphahlele, who also back in the days was called Zizu, had a nickname, right? Yeah. So me and you are on the same page here. There's somebody in the middle.
Yeah.
You don't have a nickname, Sizwe Mabena, and that concerns me. You know, you've got a term. Yeah, click, bang, sure, Fede.
Yeah, well, people sometimes call me click, bang.
But that's not a nickname.
That's not the nickname.
No. So you don't have one.
Not yet.
So you don't have a GOAT status.
No.
It means Ingwenya Aldalang.
I know. No, he didn't play the song. But also look at these legs. These legs are not convincing, brother.
It's not make sure, eh?
Wow.
Definitely.
I remember this. Yeah, when I get my nickname, you guys will be the first to know.
We need one for you.
Yeah,
so hopefully we'll get a nickname for click, bang, here, Sizwe Mabena, right? But how was December for you guys?
Good. Busy, but in a good way. But also, there's just so much excitement to look forward to. In that league football went until the end of the year, something new. There was a cup competition to talk about, and there was always, obviously, at the end of the year, the Afcon to talk about.
Yeah.
So it didn't really feel like a break, in that our minds were always working as sports people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, throw in South Africa, India test series.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was very busy.
Yep.
All right, so besides the eating, you guys at least were keeping up with the sports. I'm very happy with that. Very balanced December that you had there. And we'll start with that, Sizwe. You touch on the 31st of December, right? The league going on until the 31st. Good and bad. Just like anything in life, right?
Yeah.
There's always pros and there's cons to it.
Yeah.
Some might say, yeah, it was great because we got entertainment. We might not know what to do and we got to watch football until the very last. But Bafana coach, he wasn't too pleased about the league going on until the 31st. Your thoughts on that?
With good reason. We've heard him speak on many occasions about the freshness of the players of late. And if you think back to the 2010 World Cup, and I'm going to say this because you remember this well, there was a point when the whole country worked hand in hand. Even us journalists, in the way we approached the game, talking Bafana, were all basically positive, working together with SAFA and the PSL playing their bits in trying to ensure that the country was ready, where the players had to travel, I think it was to Brazil and so on, and the league played its part in ensuring that there was time for this and space for this to be done to prepare for the 2010 World Cup. Now it hasn't quite been the same, in that the league finishes, they've had a few days, and they're off to the Afcon. Is it enough prep when you think they can only squeeze in one, not even a friendly match, one match in between against Lesotho?
Yeah.
Is it enough for the players to have played up until the 31st? Sundowns players were playing so much football. You said 60 games by the end of last year. The Champions League had just started in December. They just finished the Super League, and they've got the most players in our squad.
Yeah.
So are we working hand in hand as the league and SAFA in this case?
Yeah, well, I guess you have to agree with the coach. As you mentioned, 2010, they were friendlies and the players had time to prepare and stuff like that. I mean, we just touched on Sundowns. the whole year they've played 60 matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the beginning of August up until the 30th, they played 30 matches, which
Yeah.
is a full season in
Yeah.
less than 5 months. And if that match against Swallows was not postponed, they would have played 31.
Yeah.
They finish on the 30th, they go on the camp on the 4th, which means they've got like less than 3 days of rest. The other players, there was a match on the 31st. So the coach is correct that they needed, the season should have finished early, because we knew a long time ago that we were going to Afcon,
Yeah.
so the players can rest, because these guys, the season has been grueling. You play, most of the teams play twice a week, which is too much. Wednesday weekend. It's too tight, and I fully agree with the coach. And I sympathize with him that most of the players are just not fresh, and you don't want to go to a big tournament like Afcon,
For sure.
where the players are not in the right condition where they're supposed to be.
I'm gonna stay with you, Mahlatse. Right? A coach that is very dear to you once said, "Are you not tired of watching us play? Eh?
Yeah.
We also want to go Brian.
Want to go,
We
Brian?
want to go chill with our family, right?" So I remember, when that was said, one would think that, okay, sure, time off, maybe. Some people argued that they're crying about it. But now when you look into the mental part of it, right? And you could say that physical fitness, physical fatigue, you can work around it. But when you're mentally tired, now that's a different story, because now when you touch on the freshness, you have to also work on the mentality of the players as to then, do they also still want to do this? Are they still, because the thing about the game and any job, right, the love for it can go at any point, right? So for it to stay there, you need that break. So then now the health of the players, do you think that's also then being considered by the league to drag it out for so long?
Yeah, and I guess this thing comes from the usual story that there is this perception, and I think to a large extent it's true, that there is just not a good relationship between SAFA and the PSL. If these two parties were good, the two leaders were sort of,
They could go on a bride
same-
together.
they can go on a bride on a tea together. I'm sure they can sit on a table.
There's a selfie I'd love to see.
I would love that.
I'm sure they can sit on a table, over tea or coffee or whatever, and iron out all those things. And at the end of the day, whatever we do, the best interest of the players, must be at heart. And I mean, you look at, I feel sorry for the fitness trainer at Bafana because you deal with teams, with players that come from different teams.
Yeah.
And they've got different fitness regimes at their teams. Some are loaded differently, and they are not on the same fitness level.
For
You've
sure.
got to bring them in a national team within a short space of time. You have to make sure that they function well
Yeah.
as a team in terms of fitness loading. It's quite a complex thing where from outside, people may not really actually see it like that. That you've got to bring all these guys together, make sure that they're functioning properly. Hence, the coach said the 4 days they had in Stellenbosch was just not good enough, and also they went into that 4 days of camp not having rested. 4 days is just not enough. I think maybe a week or even 10 days was going to be at least reasonable for them to rest, so that they're prepared to go into that camp in Stellenbosch.
And that's the thing, you're talking about resting before camp.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because you still want to get to camp and, like you say, make sure everyone's fitness levels are right about the same.
Yeah.
Funny enough, when I went to my first Afcon, Egypt, 06, we got there, I think, as just a broadcaster, maybe a week and a half before the tournament. The teams were arriving in the week leading up to the tournament and already training to acclimatize and so on. So when you think of it that way, do we have enough time to firstly get into camp, acclimatize when we get there, play, and still rest? It's nowhere near.
All right, so we're gonna unpack that a little bit, right? I want to stick with the unity part of it, where you look into the Ministry of Sport, right? When it was the World Cup, Rugby World Cup, we were getting statements. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, we're supporting the boys. We're supporting the girls. There was a lot of support coming from the Minister of Sports. I don't know if you guys have seen anything in terms of Afcon. Are we seeing the same hype?
Excitement?
Same excitement?
Well, the timing of this thing is wrong because the weekend is January 18, Mpumalanga in your home province. The politicians are busy. The politicians are busy doing their own stuff there. This Bafana is less on their platform. I mean, I was surprised this morning. we had a dinner with the players, a send of dinner. No politicians were there.
Goodness
And
gracious.
I'm saying, I mean, they are busy with other political issues, and it's quite sad. But you know, it could have been nice for the minister to be there.
Oh man, I definitely do feel for the players. All
I
right.
see you're playing politics now.
I'm not playing politics. I'm just asking.
There was a netball World Cup last year. There was netball Fridays. You know, there
there
was
was a
build-ups
vibe.
to
There was
these
an
big
excitement.
tournaments. Banyana, when they left, there was a send-off, and there was an excitement around them going. And
Listen.
I hear you. It's a bit
Exact-
low-key.
It's
this
very low
departure.
key. I don't know if we are
But
nervous or what.
maybe it's good for Bafana to fly a little bit under the radar. When you make too much hoo-ha about them, you know, you overwhelm them. Maybe they're like, I think it's good this way. Let's not overhype. Let's just.
And that's your favorite thing, Kevin, eh? Hype.
It got me into big trouble with that.
No, I know they come for you on the social streets.
it's
So
okay.
don't hype up the youngsters, please. But all right, so let's talk about the squad, right? We do know 23 players selected. You look into other nations, 27 players selected, 25 players selected. What do you guys think about this 23 players? And instead of, adding a bit more numbers,
I think other squads sometimes will select a prelim squad where they'll select over, and then by the tournament squad time
some
starts,
players
they trim.
some teams are going with 25, 27.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, the norm over the years. So they'll trim the squad going into it. 23 for me is generally the standard more or less number over the years. I'm not bothered too much about that. Essentially,
With the injuries that you have, you're not bothered?
Essentially, you're looking at guaranteed 3 matches.
Uh-huh.
And after that, then we're talking business if you qualify. But you have to get out of the group. And with those 3 matches, I think 23 is enough.
With the injuries you have. Okay, that's
With the
fine.
injuries you might get.
You already have some. you left
Oh,
the
you're
country.
saying we're walking wounded going
Yeah,
into the
exactly.
tournament?
You are walking a bit
Well,
wounded
that's
into this
actually a
one.
decent
But
point.
the reality in our case is that it's a budget issue, really.
Yeah.
You should have picked more. I mean, somebody was joking that they were training in Stellenbosch. Do you know that Igram Regas is Igram Reyners is part of the 4 on standby? The guy lives in Stellenbosch.
Should have been training with.
He should have been training with the team.
Yeah.
He could even brought his own scarf team there and said, no, don't give me food, I'll eat at home.
I'll
No,
eat
he's
it.
still
Don't worry about my
You know what I
stomach.
mean?
He's
Yeah,
still
for
recovering
sure.
from the match against the All-Star team. You know what I mean? Don't forget he had the match most recently now against the All-Star team.
And he's got money. He could have
You know-
actually helped out a little bit. All
You know?
right. Let's quickly find out, of course, what Coach Hugo had to say. Finding out, of course, about the freshness of the squad and his thoughts ahead of this Afcon.
I think I can be happy what happens in the last 4 days during our camp. I saw a group of players who were motivated. The intensity of the trainings was very good. We worked a lot and hard, and I think it's normal that today the players are a little bit tired, but I think if we had to train a little bit more than usual, we had to do it now. After the camp is finished, we play in 1 week our first match on Afcon. So for the rest of the trainings, that will be more tactical, and the intensity will increase. I think you know where we are going. We are not going to a friendly game. We are going on a big tournament. And then you can choose, or you choose really all young players, and before you play 1 game, you're already out. Because those guys don't have the experience. So you need also to have a good mix. And that's why I choose Tabak. And I chose them already before. But then suddenly, I don't know what happened in Pirates, but suddenly he didn't play anymore after France. Why? I don't know. But you see now the season he's playing against regularly, and I think when we have a problem with the qualities he has, when we have a problem there, that he is the right man. He has the experience, he's a good player, he's a guy who in the recuperation is good. So that's the reason why Tabak is with us. And you know the discussion I have or had with PSL. Honestly, all the players were not really recovered. We see that and we feel that. And that was my fear. So it's not so bad. Don't think that they are all, but you feel in trainings and the measurements we took that the players were not fresh, 100%. And this is what I said already 8 months ago when I asked them to stop on the 24th of December. Those players needed that. Looking at the program they had of games in the last 2 months, and even from the beginning, like Sundowns, they nearly played every 3 days from August till December. And again, I don't understand that a league of a country cannot accept and stop the league on the 24th. Even they knew it before the end of last season. I'm really sorry about that to say. And don't tell me that they support Bafana. It's a laugh.
It's a laugh.
It's definitely a laugh, ain't it, right? That's one thing we love about Coach Hugo Broos, is that he says it like it is. He's happy, he's not. You will definitely know.
It took some getting used to for many South Africans.
Yes.
Because he shoots from the hip and is very direct about his
Especially
feelings.
the South African that you're sitting next to right now.
We
spoke
many guys
a
were
lot.
hot. They hurt at first.
I like
day.
him. I like Coach Hugo. He speaks. Yes, a lot of people are, sort of the wrong way.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's not the paragon of truth, but I would say a significant chunk of what he says is the truth.
Yeah.
Because most of the times, over the longest time, we have sugar-coated a lot of the problems.
Mm.
And he pinpoints them. He has been inconsistent here and there, but generally he just told us the truth. And some people, unfortunately, don't like it, but it is what it is. Yeah.
You know what I like? It's always nice to, see someone, when they're wrong, they admit it and they rectify that. And I think for me, that's been so admirable because for the longest time, we didn't understand why Themba Zwane was not in the squad. He fixed that. I saw an interview that you did with him and he's like, listen, Mshishi, you don't coach a lot. Just tell him to play. And the whole team is playing. And I was like, it's very brave of him to say he's one of the best players that he's coached. So it shows the caliber of the coach that we have.
He's women after all.
He is, right? He is. All right. So preparation has been going on in Stellies for about 4 days or so. They come back to Johannesburg on Wednesday, and then they leave for Ivory Coast on the Thursday, right? But now let's deal with the Wednesday part where they play a friendly. He doesn't call it friendly. He says it's a preparation match is what it was. What did you guys think of the preparation? I mean, we didn't score. A lot of people were saying, I don't know about the squad. How are we not scoring against the Lesotho? I mean, we're expecting Bafana to be banging in those goals, but they didn't do that. Changes as well, of course, from Ronwin sitting out, Themba not being on the squad as well. What do we read into this preparation match?
In my experience, I remember there was a similar type of matches we had years ago at the Germiston Stadium. Hadn't been there in a while since then, actually. But in my experience, you can't really read much into those matches. It's not even a friendly. So it's hard to read into them, and that's what he's saying. But still, you want to get something out of the match and leave there knowing you're making progress going forward. So many will look at the results and say, look, it's Lesotho, disappointing. If you've been following Lesotho maybe in the COSAFA Cup and such, you'll say, yeah, look, Lesotho aren't the Lesotho of 15 years ago.
For sure.
They will give you a run for your money. So maybe there is a good test. The only issue I think that would come up is some North African countries are playing friendlies as early as last week. And they're playing more than one. Tunisia is one team you pointed out earlier before we recorded that played 2 friendlies coming into this tournament. Where does that put us prep-wise, according to them or next to them, the teams in our group?
Yeah, I guess it's a bit worrying when the coach keeps on talking about the freshness of the side. The guys are not fresh. Obviously, we didn't watch the game. The freshness is another thing, but the sharpness. Judging by the little bit we've seen, and by the scoreline. I know you can't really read much from the scoreline, but it does not appear if the guys were as sharp as they should have been. We are less than a week from our opening match next week Tuesday, and we're still talking about struggling to score goals against Lesotho. I mean, with due respect to Lesotho, but we should be, be more clinical. The stuff they do here, the stuff that they need to reproduce when they get to the tournament. I don't think if they've got a scheduled practice match when they get there, if they don't, it's another missed opportunity. Also, there's been the issue of saying, are we arriving in Ivory Coast too late? Korogo, where they'll be based, is in the northern part of the country. I'm told it's very hot and humid, and you need to have been there at least for a number of days to acclimatize. We are playing against Mali in the first match, who are just across the border. You can imagine that the fans will be mostly from Mali and all those kinds of things. So they will have to get there and really step up the preparations. They will have to get there, step up this and make sure that they are ready, because we all know, Coach Peter used to say it, in the group stages, you have to win your first match. If you can't beat Mali, then under pressure already. You don't want that.
One thing that I think was absolutely great about this game, a good takeaway, is seeing Coach Gavin Hunt, Coach Eric Sinclair, some of the other coaches supporting Bafana yesterday. It was great to see that at Lucas Moripe Stadium. Let's find out what Coach Hugo had to say after that encounter against Lesotho.
Everybody will tell now, 0-0 against Lesotho. But you have to see the circumstances. And again, this is not even a friendly game for me. This is a preparation game. It was important to see the mentality, and the mentality was good. I knew that, again, the freshness would not be there, and you saw that today. There were some moments in the game that we needed that freshness. But at the other side, I asked the players also before the game to show that they have the good mentality, to show that they wanted to win the game. And this is what I saw. So in a few other days, that will be different. We will be different, we will be better, and that is the most important thing.
All right, that is, of course, Coach Hugo letting us in that he's not too happy. I think the word freshness is a word that he's been throwing out a lot, which might be a concern, especially when you look into the three things that he mentioned as an issue leading up to the Afcon, saying that, one, he wasn't too happy that Ronwen Williams picked up that knee niggle. We do know that he's played about 26 games, if I'm not mistaken, and Themba Zwane as well was not in the squad because of an injury. Mphahlele as well, groin injury, but he's been cleared. He's also off to Ivory Coast. So now when you look into those three key players, I mean, they are very important to Coach Hugo. Going into this encounter, first game against Mali, where does it leave the three players who didn't play in this Lesotho game, and how does this now shape up our team?
Well, what's interesting to note is the three players you're mentioning are probably the senior players here. In Ronwen, Vala and Themba ahead of him. All of them important.
And the spine.
And the spine. That's basically that's the spine of your team. All of them important. And in your one match to prep ahead of the tournament, they aren't available. So that's a bit of it'll hurt a bit. You know what I mean? I mean, you include Tawu and there, that's an entire spine now, up and down. But that said, there's pluses here that I'd like to look at in that regard. Maybe they get to rest a bit more and get a bit fresher. But also, the fact that we are having to take Themba along, crucial. Mphahlele, for his size, strength, set pieces are going to be crucial. Against Mali, where size and strength, and in past Afcons, we've been hurt in the air against the likes of Senegal and so on. He can defend in the air, he can score in the air. We've seen it time and time again. So he's also crucial. Ronwen, he comes with experience with Themba from what they're doing at Sundowns on the continent. And I think it's so crucial to have players within the squad, especially your starting 11, that travel the continent, know the continent, know how to play behind enemy lines and do well without fear.
But I want to
You know?
pick you up and stop you there a little bit, right? I was listening to Coach Hugo. Maybe you can pick up from here, Mahlatse. He was saying that as much as, yes, we are saying the Sundowns guys, they've traveled the continent, it's great. But now it's a different tournament where you're playing against guys who come from Europe. And the hunger is just a little bit different. I remember he was saying that when he was with Cameroon, he thought, okay, against Guinea-Bissau, maybe we might get an easy victory. But it was completely different because everybody is hungry, regardless of which nation you come from. So now, what does this do for Bafana, looking at the fact that a lot of our players are very much local?
Yeah, well, I guess when you get there against Mali, against Tunisia, less about Namibia. The level is just a little bit higher. You are playing against players who are playing for some of the big teams in Europe. They will challenge you. They will test you. From our perspective, I think I'm a little bit worried, but at the same time, maybe comforted because we've said Ronwen highly experienced on ESP. He's been around for a while now. My worry with him is that he's not been training. What sort of conditioning is he going to be in? We know match fitness is important, but for big players like that, really, you don't worry much about that kind of stuff. I'm just worried about his conditioning. He will be switched on. He'll be ready. Mphahlele, I don't think he'll play in the next match. I think they will try and get him ready
The
for
first match,
yeah, I mean for the against Mali. I don't think he'll play. They'll try and get him ready for the second match. Mishishi also very experienced. Even if he's short on match fitness, he can still go into a big game like that and perform. And I think.
What did Coach Bitso say about him again? I love that saying about Mishishi.
Well, when he's dancing,
the whole team is just on song.
things happen.
I think the best compliment ever towards Mshishi was from Clive Parker. You remember when Clive Parker was like, look, I've coached guys like Dr. Kumalo and such, and this player, he was still young before he went back to Sundowns. So this player is of that ilk. And for me, that was a great compliment to Mshishi, who hadn't become the Mshishi we know today. But just going back to what you guys are saying about the European-based players and us using so much in the locally based players. There's a lesson we all learned 2006, 2008, 2010. The winners of all those Afcons was one nation, Egypt. Most of the players from there came from one club, Al Ahly, who at the time were running things on the continent. So for me, that's always an example that if you're doing well on the continent, yes, you may not have all the European-based players that you want. I think then their biggest star was Mido, outside of Egypt back then. The rest of the guys were guys from the local game. But if you are doing well on the continent, as in Champions League, Confederations Cup, and so on, which Sundowns are doing, they're thereabouts just about every year. Then, if you're at that level, you can compete come Afcon with the right players. So that experience that comes with these three guys we just mentioned, including the few other Sundowns players. Yes, we don't have that many players playing in the top leagues in Europe, but at least it gives us something to work with, that we know we've got guys that can play well on the continent, no matter where you take them.
So you're hoping for 1996, I think 1996. Who was dominating? Which team was dominating 1996? Please indulge me, gentlemen.
Was it Pirates?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Pirates was
And it rubbed off.
Exactly. So
Someone was also saying something very interesting that in 95 the Springboks won the World Cup. And 96 we all know what happened. The Springboks won the World Cup in 2023. Then 2024 something is coming. So of course, I mean,
it could be.
We'll have to wait and see.
Fingers crossed. Like.
we'll have to wait and see. The other thing that I just want to mention here is the significance of Coach Hugo Broos. The experience. The guy looks calm. He has been there. He has done it. So he's somebody who I think, if he's allowed to space to do his stuff, he may just get the best of this team. I'm normally despondent with our football, but
we've seen you on Twitter.
We
read your tweets, Mr. Mahlatse.
You know what, Joe?
I really have a good feeling about this guy. I think,
about Bruce?
I mean about this team. I think they'll definitely get out of the group. I'm giving them a quarter-final, and from there, you'll never know really. Bafana sometimes when you least expect from them, they can surprise you.
Sure.
Because they've got a point to prove right
do
now.
That. And these guys have been together for a while now. And I like the sort of the soberness of that leadership group. Ronwen, Temba, Motobi, the CBC from Paris. These are guys who are calm, and
For
there are
sure.
not too many troublemakers in that camp, and you need that when you go for a big tournament like this.
For sure.
For me, I'm filled with a bit of fear.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at the group, I won't
You
beat around the
always
bush.
are, though. Even
Yeah.
when Banyana was going to the World Cup,
Yeah, I was,
you were
I
like,
was.
we're not making out the group stage.
No, but I look at the groups and I look at footballing nations.
For sure.
And Mali have gotten the best runners-up in an Afcon. I don't know how they haven't won an Afcon as yet. As a
Yeah.
footballing nation, they should have won, in my opinion. They should have won one by now. They're like Zambia until they'd won one. They're probably sitting there thinking, yeah, we owe ourselves one.
For sure.
Then you got Tunisia, former champions. And you remember when we played Tunisia 2006 in Egypt. Didn't go well out in Alexandria. They're also another solid footballing nation.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at this group and you're thinking, okay, 3 points, where's the definite 3 points coming from? The easy victim to point at here is Namibia.
But don't be
But
fooled by
Namibia
it.
knows us better than
Yeah.
anybody else
For
in this
sure,
group.
yeah.
And there's so many of their players.
Orlando not so long ago.
Yeah,
So many
yeah.
of their players play their tough football here in South Africa. So they won't fear Mshishi when they look at him.
They've got
They're used to
Shasha.
playing him.
Shasha is on the top 50 of top goal scorers last year.
You know what I mean? Arguably one of the best strikers Sundowns has ever produced.
For sure.
Or ever had, rather
Yeah.
than say produced. But because of Namibia then being at the position where they are, I can't say they're the easy win here. And I fear other nations may be looking at us and saying, hey, the 3 points here. Could be South Africa.
And especially
Could
from
be-
the side of Tunisia and Mali. I'm
And
sure
Mali, yeah.
Sure, they looking
when
at
the
us,
coach
yeah.
is sitting on the coach's wall, he will have 3 points on South
South
Africa and 3
Africa.
points on Namibia.
Now,
That's
here-
what is going to happen. They
here's
know
a-
they can beat us.
Here's an
For
important
sure.
factor. First game is important, right?
Yeah.
Now, for Namibia, I think we're playing them second. And if things don't go well for them first game, do you know how motivated they're going to be in that second game against us? Because they'll be thinking,
sure.
if there's a 3 points we can pick up. So for them, that game almost comes at the right time, the perfect
Yeah.
time to play us, which makes the group all the more interesting.
Yeah.
For me, it's very hard to call this group, but for me,
Have
to
a
have
bit
the
of
optimism
hope, please.
that you have,
Please.
Nah, I will get out of the group. I think so.
I wish I had that
Yeah.
optimism.
No,
you know?
Let's go with that. You let us know at home as well. Do you think we'll get out of the group stage? Yay, no. We definitely would love to hear from you. But what I want to know, Mr. Mahlatse, I mean, we were talking about the squad so much, right? You look at a postman who continuously delivers, and he's being used in a different position. Yes, we know that he'd normally be more in the middle park, but that's not the case. And when you look into the midfielders as well on the bench, we've got quite the midfielders that are packed there, right? So now when we look into our squad and who's starting, and I mean, you say you trust him, right? And we can tell that, yes, the players are in good spirits. We saw them leave this morning. But who's playing where and what position are they being used in?
Well, looking from the team of yesterday, I think when Ronnie will come back, he will claim his place. Mudau will continue is the best right back. The central defense will remain the same, I think. CBC and Kulu. I don't like Postman as
Say
left
it.
back.
Yeah, say it.
You've been saying.
I like him with that thing of Rulano of inverting there in the middle there, causing problems there.
Yeah, I
But
enjoy
the
that.
coach likes him as a left back, so I guess it's okay.
He's doing the job, yeah.
I just don't know how they are going to navigate around that stuff in the middle of the park there. With Mshishi, if Mshishi is fully fit to come and play, you can take out Debza, you can take out Spepelo, you can take out Pesi, who played as a 10.
As a 10,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the candidates to go out will probably be
Masu.
Mihlali on the right or Maseko on the left. Maybe move
Percy.
Percy Tau more to the left.
Yeah.
And then Mshishi comes and become a number 10 there. And then we've got a lone striker in Evidence Mahopa.
It's hard.
And Mihlali on the right.
It's hard to see. It's hard to see. If you look at yesterday's lineup, and you say you're going to reshuffle that, it's hard to see anyone other than Zwane playing the 10, and it's hard for me. It's really hard to see anyone Percy not playing as one of the forwards.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether left or right, we know he's comfortable, but with him, he has to almost has to play as one of the forwards for his goal scoring abilities. Because the issue here is goals.
Yeah.
Where are the goals coming from a South African point of view? That's going to be the big challenge, especially with the strikers we've missed out on coming into
Yeah.
this tournament. So
And just to add, I think a lot of people are not thinking about this, but it might happen.
What's that?
one of our biggest weapons in this tournament, I think, is going to be our police in the second half on the right wing, taking people on, putting in the crosses. The guy is very quick, he's very skillful.
Yeah.
He's largely unknown. I know teams does their homework in terms of looking, but maybe they missed him when they were looking the games of Polokwane City there. They don't know who is this kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can go there, can cause problems. Even this young kid from Stellenbosch, Jaden Adams.
Oh,
He
I love
can,
that kid.
You know, these are the guys, the boys that I think they can be our surprise packages.
So what you're saying now is looking at the bench.
Yeah, coming through.
Okay.
Impact from the bench. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be brave enough to start with them. But also, I love the surprise element. You know, these big African, North African guys and the Malians will look at this kid coming in at 75th minute and say, who is this one?
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
the next thing is running rings around them there, causing problems. That's what you need. Somebody who can come in fresh,
Yeah.
cause problems and make things happen. You need that because sometimes if the match is not happening, we've got to go to plan B. Maybe we can go to the wing and put in a cross and Pessy and evidence, you know, in the box. You'll never know what will happen. But yeah, I think he can be an ace up our sleeve in the tournament. Yeah.
I fully agree. We saw before Bafana left the likes of Magents. I love how it is. When you go Magents, you always
The
gotta
legend
go.
himself.
You're gonna find that spot. We saw Magents was there. McFish was also
Mark
there.
Williams.
Mark
Williams,
Williams.
yeah.
Mark
Williams,
Williams
yeah.
was also there. So it shows that the boys are being supported and being supported by legends. I'm sure that's also encouraging for them. I mean, if champions shake your hands,
Well,
that has to do something for you.
There's one more legend that's traveling with them, Helman Mphahlele.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
it's nice to have those guys that have won be there at such an important moment when you're leaving. I actually said this to Mark Williams. Who,
I like how you're also going to say Mark
I was,
Fish.
yeah, you did that. You did that. You did this to me. But I actually said this to him, Williams, because I worked with him for a long time, and he's a good guy. You know, we've hung out and great spirits. And when Banyana came back from the Afcon, not the World Cup just yet, I went up to him and I said to him, listen, Mark, I find it inspiring that whenever there's events of national importance,
You're
sporting
there.
events, it doesn't matter what the sporting code is, but it's obviously has to be there for the football ones. It's nice that he's always there because we don't necessarily get enough of the former greats.
For sure.
I mean, a guy that scored a couple of goals in the Afcon finals come through and welcome the girls back after having won the tournament, send the guys off going into the tournament. So Mark Williams consistently there. And nice to see Mahlatse Mphahlele also there as just inspiration for these guys to say, look, go out there, try and do what we did. Take the pressure off us. I'm tired of attending these events. Be the guy to attend these events on my behalf. You know what I mean?
96 all the time, you know.
You know what I mean?
That's all we go back to. It's tiring
And also,
now.
I think the significance of Helman. Helman, you know, maybe sometimes when he's in a tight game situation, things are difficult, and you know, he's someone who can go to a player and speak to that player in their own language.
Yes.
Send a direct message.
Sure.
You know, maybe even behind the scenes, he's somebody who can sit with a player here. They have a heart-to-heart and they talk, maybe delivering a message from the coach. You need a guy like that. And also, players believe in a point of reference. Helman was a big player in his day. He has done everything. He has won Afcon. He will tell them what happened in camp when they were 1996 when they win Afcon. You know? So he's somebody who we tend to dismiss quite a lot. I guess it's because of the coaching qualification story and all those kind of things. But he can play a critical role. And it appears as if the coach likes him, he trusts him, and you need that. Also, the goalkeeper coach, Grant Johnson.
Yes.
He has been around for the longest time. Another one who played football at the highest level. So these are the backroom people, the people who are surrounding the coach who are going to be critical in that.
When you speak Helman, what? Pirates?
Yeah.
Like you were saying,
Turkey.
Afcon. Then Afcon winner as well, right?
Yeah.
First team to qualify for the World Cup from South Africa, Helman is there. First team to go to the World Cup, Helman is there. That legendary match against Brazil, 2-0, then we lost 3-2. Helman is there and had a killer game. You know what I mean? But all the best moments in South African football, Helman was there. So you make a great point there.
If you don't listen to Helman, then I don't know.
Then
Don't know what's gonna
you're the
happen.
problem.
You're the issue,
I'm
right?
sure he'll deal with the coaching qualification when he comes back. But for now, let's focus on the tournament. You know.
But I like the listening part, right? Because I was listening to Ronwen Williams, your Tabang Manaria, head of course, before they left. And they all said something so important, is that everybody has a role to play here. And as much as, yes, we're all listening to Coach Hugo, but, you know, Coach Hellman has a part to play. Apollos has a part to play. So everybody in this team has a role to play in this team to make sure that the puzzle is complete. I mean, when you look into Banyana, when, you know, star players got injured, who had to step up? So the bench that you speak of, it's going to be very important for everybody to stay tuned on and say that, okay, when the chance presents itself, you have to stay ready. And I want to direct this to you because you saw the players leave this morning, right? How are they looking? How are they feeling? And because a lot of people on social media were saying, we're seeing clubism here. I'm seeing Pirates players together, Mamelodi Sundowns players together.
Yeah, well, I mean, when they got off the lift going to the breakfast room, they were clubbed together. The Sundowns was there, Pirates, you know. Yeah. But I really don't make much of it. I mean, even, you know, me, sometimes it happened, you know, you are not even realizing that, okay, you know, this is what is happening. You would normally find people who are like-minded together, people who spend a lot of time together. I don't think it's by design.
I mean, look at you guys, the guys that gained weight together in December, sitting together.
You know,
you even see it in club football. You must check, if you get to the stadium early enough and the teams walk out to inspect the field, you'll see all the younger players are together, and so on. They're always together. The foreign players are always together. The older players are always together as well.
And sometimes you always see the South Americans together drinking that coffee.
So it's normal.
Mate or whatever they call it, you know. So it's like that. I don't think they sit and plan it. It just happens, you know. And I mean, there are language barriers and there are, you know, cultural barriers and all those kind of things. And as long as it's not malicious, I think there's nothing wrong with it. You know, I'm looking around, looking at them in the, you know, at the breakfast room this morning before they left. They looked like a good camp. You know, they were joking around. And one thing that struck me though is just how much this guy loved the Lord. Mphahlele. You know, they always crack joke around him, and he's a nice guy. He's a guy who you'd one day want to sit with him and just have an interview with him. He's a mystery to a lot of people, and I would love to pick his brains and see how he sees life and all those kind of things. And they also love Mshishi. Whenever Mshishi's name is called
everybody loves Shika.
You know, and he gets so what's the word?
Shy.
He gets so shy about this thing. He doesn't like the attention on him. The guy just wants to play football, as Coach always say. So those are the two guys in that camp who, I guess, they're like a glue. They put everybody together, and it was very nice to see.
We'll see pictures of them once they're there. Also, what's important, equally as important as seeing them leave. Yeah. But more important for me is seeing what they look like in their first training session. That side, the team spirit, whether they're playing and training, and whether they're laughing and having fun. It always tells you something about then the spirit within the group. Once they're that side.
All right, let's wrap it up. Spirit within the group. Our boy Lyle Foster has been getting so much criticism, saying that, oh my goodness, is Lyle choosing Bernie over us? What is going on? We're not happy with this. What's your thoughts on this?
You can see he did a deep breath.
you must get it in.
No, my view is pretty simple.
Yeah.
There's two views here. There's the Burnley view. The guy has gone through something not very many people can understand.
For sure.
They've had to sit through it and work through it. Yeah. He's now getting better. Great. At the stage when he's starting to get better, do you send him off to an Afcon to possibly, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but possibly have a hard time and regress by the time he gets back to England? It's very hard to let you go in that case. Right? And then there's the other view. Us, South Africans. What do you mean you're not coming?
We need you, folks. You just scored goals for us in the qualifiers.
So you have to consider those two views. We need him. We need the goals. We need the experience. We need Lyle Foster. But then again, he's in the situation. And I think once it was announced there was mental issues, we were always most likely going to come second best based on the timing of the event.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So.
Mahlatse, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess, you know, we'll all agree that mental health is a serious issue.
For sure.
Something that we can not joke about it. And, you know, the guy is going through a tough time at the moment. Let's give him space. The coach made it very clear that he's the one who sent the letter to Safa asking to be excused. And he's excused, and let's see how he recovers. Maybe for World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah.
Maybe we can help us to qualify.
Qualify. He can be our qualifying king.
We wish him the best.
We wish him the
do.
best.
And you know what I love about it? I don't know if you guys saw the interview of Thierry Henry, and he was talking about how he was going through depression throughout his whole career, but he never spoke about it.
Not knowing that he's going through
Yes,
depression.
he didn't know. So I'm glad that we're at a time where we are conscious about it, where we can talk about it and let players know that, hey, it's okay, right? And one thing I love about us South Africans, we'll always welcome him back. Remember, we fought with Benny McCarthy. At some point, we're like, Benny doesn't like us. Now we love Benny.
Even though Benny used to score the goals, played all that.
Well, some will argue Benny had to come back and score a few goals for Pirates.
Pirates, then we love him again.
Some will argue.
So yeah, no, we wish the guy well.
definitely do.
It's just going to be nice to have him there. Most of these guys that are playing at this tournament play at the same level that he plays in. So we need to have your best players at an Afcon.
Most importantly, since we know he's not coming to the Afcon, what I wish for him is they survive relegation, and he plays a part in them surviving relegation.
Yeah.
He does that, he's ready for us come World Cup qualifiers and so on. We'll benefit from that experience. You know?
I'm not sure about surviving relegation.
Don't be that guy. I don't like the negativity. He was so positive about Bafana. Now you're like,
have you seen that team?
Have you seen that?
Can't do
I think they're going to fire the coach very soon. Yeah.
Guys,
But said Chipa Beke is there to deal with that
thing. No ways. I think they will get a lot of draws with him there. But since we're talking Lyle Foster not being there, Mutiba is also a player that we're missing in the squad.
One thing in common, those two guys: goals.
Yes.
That's my big. Gripe with both of them.
And also, obviously, you look at Mutiba and Evidence Makgopa. Evidence Makgopa can sort of say is Mutiba light. He's the guy who holds up the ball and then feeds the second balls to the oncoming players who are coming through.
Yeah.
He does it very well, and also, experience playing for a better team, at a higher level. So he was going to be very important for us to do that. Hold on the ball, and the Mshishis and the other guys come through and take the pockets, and I know I'm talking like Rulani now, Coach Rulani now.
You've been hanging out with him. I can tell.
This is the Pretoria guy in him coming out now. What champion is that?
We share a birthday with Rulani, so I don't mind.
Who shares a birthday?
Me and Rulani.
She shares a birthday with everybody. Anyway, let's move on.
You guys are terrible. But okay, so the verdict is that Bafana getting out of the group stage. Can we also make a promise? I don't like what you guys are wearing. Like, it's not appeasing. Kikupa Bafana kaofela jerseys. I mean, remember how we used to do it, right?
Bafana jerseys.
Yes. So
do they have them in our size?
I don't like his face. Do you see Mahlatse's face?
Do they have them in our size?
Also, the brands,
Oh yeah, I hear you, dog. I hear you.
The brands don't align.
Those things over the Coxport TV.
And you know what's up here.
You guys.
I'll have to go look for an old Bafana shirt at home and see if I don't have something.
I'm sure there's nothing in that brand. I can confirm you. At least now I can get an old one.
No, not in that brand. You're going to rock up in the 2010 Bafana jersey. This is the last one.
I'll have to go order something at Classic Shares and get it delivered before the next week.
No, for sure. But gentlemen, hopefully you guys will be rocking the regalia. Thank you so much. That's it, I guess, from the Arena Sports Show. We do it again soon. And all the best to Bafana. Please bring it home. Springboks did it. We think you can do it too.
Yes.
Pressure, that's
Too much
pressure.
pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Springboks.
I think they must channel the Ina, Eben Elizabeth,
Exactly.
Franco Mostert, and all the boys. Well, we'll see. Why not,
They can do it.
Fingers crossed.
Bafana kaofela, let's go.
Sure.